Alrighty, good morning, everybody. We are going over the homework. This is page 17 of the FSA review. So for number one, this is kind of what we're moving into next week. So I like this. It's asking you to complete the chart with the rule that you're given. So divide by 2 and then add 10. So if you divide 12 by 2, you get 6. You add 10, you get 16. Divide 16 by 2, you get 8. Add 10, you get 18. Divide 18 by 2, you get 9. Add 10, you get 19. So 16, 18, and 19 for number one. For number two, 72 is 8 times as large as a number. Remember, is means equal, times is times, a number we don't know. So 72 equals 8 times what? 8 times 9. Number three, finding the product of 6,999 and 7. The answer is 48,993. If you got that wrong, I will show you how to work it out. I suggest the box because that is a pretty large number, or old school. For number 4 on page 17, Julie had 657 nickels. She wants them in stacks of 5. So how many stacks did she make? She made 131 stacks, but she did have 2 left over. And then for number 5, it gave you 4 and 2, 6, minus 2 and 5, 6. It asked you to choose the expression that is equivalent. So you should have turned those into improper fractions, and had you done that, 6 times 4 is 24 plus 2 is 26. And then 6 times 2 is 12 plus 5 is 17. So 26 over 6 minus 17 over 6 is the same. So that is it for page 17. We're going to move on to page 18. For number 1 on page 18, they gave you a model. They want to know which one represents the model. So these are all 1/8. So there's 5 times 1/8 because you have 5 1/8 here. Number 2, choose the addition statement that is equivalent to 1/10 plus 10 over 100. Remember, we need to make these denominators the same. So you would multiply 10 by 10 to get 100. Whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. So you should get 10 over 100. So it would be A, 10 over 100 plus 10 over 100. Number 3 was a little bit challenging. It's asking you which number line best shows 62 over 100. So this one we're going to mark off because that's not in the 60s. This one we're going to mark off because it's not in the 60s. This one is showing whole numbers. So if you were stuck between these two, I understand it. But this one here is showing whole numbers, not decimals. So this is the choice that you should have selected because that is 60 over 100, this mark here. So it's a little bit past that. So that would give you your 62. For number 4, you're choosing the statements that correctly describe 0.5 and 0.35. You should have compared them, stacking them on top of the other. The zeros here aren't going to help you. So you would go to your 10th place. 5 is bigger, so that one is the bigger of the 2. So first of all, this can be marked off because it says that 35 hundredths is greater, and that is not true. This one says they're equal. That's not true. This one says 5/10 is greater because 5/10 has a 5 in the tenths, and this has a 3 in the tenths. That is true. This one says that 5/10 is greater because this equals 50 over 100, and that one equals 35 over 100. That is also true. So these are the 2 that you would have selected. And then we haven't really got into angles yet. So once we do, you're going to hear me go, so tiny, because it's so cute. Those are those tiny angles that are less than 90 degrees. So it would be this one here. That's A. Okay. So that's it for 17 and 18. I am going to go ahead and go into 19 and 20 as well, just because why not? They were due, I think, today. Yes. So, which multiplication, page 19, sorry, number 1, we want to know which of these shows the model. It's 3 pieces of a third. That would be 1/3 times 3. The second part of that is to then solve it. So 1/3 times 3 is 3 over 3, or 1 whole. Number 2, we're going back to those fractions. We want to know which one is equivalent. So again, you have 9/10 plus 97 over 100. You cannot add because those denominators aren't the same, so we're going to make them the same, and you would get 90 over 100 plus 97 over 100. For number 3, they asked you to write the decimal that's equivalent to 4/10. So that is what 4/10 looks like, decimal point 4. Here we are comparing again. I have you line them up. Okay, if you're lining them up, you see that this one has a 1 in the tenths and this has a 3 in the tenths, so the 3 is bigger. So automatically we can get rid of these two. This is 30 over 100 and 13 over 100. We know 30 is the greater. And this one is also true because it has a 1 in the tenth and a 3 in the tenth, so that 30 is going to win every time. Okay, last one, parallel lines. You should know they run right next to each other. If you don't, we are going to get into that soon. These are the parallel lines. Never intersecting, never touching. That's your parallel. And last but not least, page number 20. We have number 1. Sam goes on 3 bike rides and does 3/6 of a mile each time. So a lot of you would be tempted to say, oh, okay, so it's times, sorry. Okay, so it's 3. The first thing I always suggest that you do, so this isn't the first time you hear it, is solve it. So he goes 3/6 of a mile 3 times. So it's 3/6 times 3 over 1. That gives you 9/6. So if you look at the first one, that makes sense. Okay, they added, but either way, you're going to get the same answer. I multiplied. This one says that he's correct. Well, he's not correct. He says he did 3 and 3/6 miles. That's not the case. So he's not correct. So these two are out. And then this one says that he's correct because 3 times 3/6 is 9 over 18. But you don't multiply denominators. So this one can't be right. The only one left is this one, the first option. Number 2, it says that this picture represents 4/10. And that is true, it does, because even though it's in 100th pieces, there are four full columns that are colored in, so that is accurate. We want to know which ones correctly describe 4/10. 4/10 is equal to 40 over 100. And this is what 4/10 looks like. So it's the first option and the third option. 4 over 100 is not the same because that looks like this, not this. That's a huge difference. Remember, this is 40 cents. This is 4 cents. Those aren't the same. Number 3, it wants you to write this as a decimal, so 6 wholes, so it gets to go on the left side of the decimal, and then 30 over 100 is 30 hundredths. You need to have that 0 there. Number 4, which one correctly compares them? If you line them up, you see the 6 is bigger than the 5, so 6 is equivalent to 60, and so this one is correct, B. And last one, again, angles we haven't really got into, but for those of you that do know, acute means smaller than 90 degrees. This is a 90-degree angle right here, this one here. So this would be 92. So the purples would be 90. So this one is smaller than 90. That is acute, so tiny. And this one is obtuse because it is bigger, it's wider, okay? So those are your answers for that. I'm going to go ahead and post this, and then again, we will discuss prior to our 11 a.m. session starting. See you soon.